40 days of grief follow Imam Hussein's 10. 40 days of grief teach the soul revolution, lighting the spark of love deep within. For 40 days the blood of heavens wept upon Hussein's, the earth in darkness, in distress, tearing up mountains as eclipse would be the sun. It was at the age of 40 that Ahmed was told read, and revelation descended that would one day bleed and from his Hashemite skin. The 40 days of Moses was decreed by Allah. At Sinai the ark settled, before in Karbala it was left to die all alone. At 40 I memorized, like a true believer, 40 hadith on mourning the master of martyrs, a scholar on resurrection. At 40 came wisdom, after 40 days of reflection, 40 days kept away from all sources of deflection from the very spirit of Hussein. It was 40 days after Ashura, give or take a year. I saw silhouettes on Karbala's horizon appear, who had aged a generation. Widows and orphans, like stars against the sky, with heads once upon spears to torment the bodies that lie deep beneath the desert dune. To Karbala they return, but without their souls, taken from them by Ashura, till they all grow old from the journey weak and thin. Zainab's eyes carried torment and had become grey, and the orphans left alive from their grief would sway, left clinging onto their queen, as they reapproached the land that was once conquered by death. 40 days after the day where all breathed their last breath, the dead return, what a scene! And all gather around the grave of the master of martyrs, orphans quenching his thirst, using an abundance of tears. He has not been thirsty ever since. While Zainab leaves the children and heads toward the river to seek out the scent of her fallen half-brother, she rediscovers it therein. She sees not dust, but a mighty dome paved with gold, shaped like a teardrop, with minarets that stand tall. Instead of hands, two mighty wings. And in the world of souls, the Ansar circle the camp, holding their swords high, yearning life once again, if only it could have been. But for the bodies that remain, there is only silence. Everything else is broken, burnt and lost ever since. Replies to their cries the sound of wind. At least now there is peace. After the day the sky fell, flowers blossomed where blood fell, as was the Lord's will. It brings peace to men and jinn. But peace could not mend the heart of the mighty Zainab. From a strike upon the head to a broken mother's rib, the world's most broken orphan, whose tongue was a sword welded by the Creator, twinned with the Dhul-Fiqar. She was Haydara, born again as a woman. Unarmed, she shook an empire and broke Yazid's throne, for she is of light and he is of mere flesh and bone, no match for the believer. Her sermon altered time and changed the course of history. The Umayyads were no match for the daughter of Ali, who conquered her own Khaybar. And what can Zainab be but a mountain of might, to bear the child's screams in the dead of the night, saying, I want my father to return. And when they brought out Hussein's head, and Ruqayya met her Lord, Zainab would wash her body with the tears that poured, for there was no shortage of them. It is from these captives that we take this tradition, one of Jabir al-Ansari, for when the news reached him there was no hesitation. It was on the Arbaeen that he arrived in Taf, and if only he arrived, that would have been enough to inspire our millions. He bathed in the Euphrates and he turned toward the grave. In the centuries that followed, so many more would crave Hussein's undying scent, much like Hajar's run between Safa and Marwa, which then became a ritual for Hajj and for Umrah until the Day of Judgment. Our Safa is Hussein and our Marwa is Abbas, and between the two is the flow of every beating heart and the soul of every pilgrim. And to our Safa we walk the distance and we give it our all, and if our legs fail us, then to his grave we'd crawl. That is love in its essence. We salute Ja'far as-Sadiq for emphasizing that our faith is incomplete unless we visit him, be it if once in our lives, such as the stature of Ahmed's grandson. Each step is not like others, for it is heard by the heavens. With every step toward his shrine, we see fall do our sins of past, future and present. Even when walking his road meant nothing but death and harm, be it under Mutawakkil or under Saddam, we still come, risking execution. And when visiting Hussein meant losing our left hands, you'd find those offering their right in the belief that they would stand beside Abbas in salvation. Nowhere else on earth do you find millions walking in serenity, in peace, while their hearts are all chanting for the fall of all oppression. The world's eye can turn away and the news can still ignore, but into the old city, millions from all over the earth still pour, and somehow it accommodates them. The lovers of death can continue to lose their minds and detonate their bombs, for they shall still continue to find above their bodies walking pilgrims, because death cannot challenge love. Because love is the essence. Love is what keeps us walking. Love is our existence, for his love has always been. And when we reach his grave, there we extend our hands, an unanswered wish uttered by any woman or man Karbala has never seen. And when we die, when our graves are dark, when shake do our remains, Hussein will visit us, just like we visited Hussein, bringing salam and ameen. And Zainab and Hussein shall stand beside us on judgment as the angels call out, where are those who would once lament? Where are the visitors of Arbaeen?